Cultivation of fields is an occupation that human beings have been engaged in since centuries. Agriculture is known as a primary occupation. Occupations which are based on natural resources are known as primary occupations. Fishing, animal husbandry, and mining are some of the other important primary occupations apart from agriculture. Let's learn about each in detail. Of all the primary occupations, agriculture is the most important as it fulfills the food requirements of the growing population on Earth. Agricultural products are also used as raw materials in various industries such as the textile, jute, sugar industries, amongst others. There are broadly 3 types of agricultural techniques: intensive agriculture, extensive agriculture, and plantation agriculture. Intensive agriculture is mainly characterized by small-sized farms. In intensive farming, a small plot of land is cultivated using a lot of labor. Simple tools instead of heavy mechanization are used. An important aspect of this kind of farming is that more than one crop is grown annually on the same plot of land. The main crops grown in this way are rice, wheat, maize, pulses, and oil seeds. Intensive agriculture is practiced in India and South Asian countries where the population is on the higher side. Extensive agriculture is usually on large-sized farms. Also, only one crop is grown in this type of agricultural technique. Extensive agriculture is characterized by the use of modern technology and minimum use of human labor. As one of the most important purposes of this type of farming is profit generation, it is also called commercial farming. The main crops grown in this manner are wheat and rice. Extensive agriculture is practiced in countries like the United States of America, Canada, and Russia. Plantation agriculture is also large-sized farms. This type of farming, only one type of crop is grown over extensive stretches of land year after year. However, it requires huge skilled and unskilled labor. This type of agriculture is also practiced for a commercial purpose. Crops such as tea, coffee, and rubber, amongst others, are grown in this way. Many African and Asian countries adopt this type of farming. It is also practiced in the southern parts of North America and also in South America. Rearing animals for using them for agricultural and transport purposes and for their products falls under the animal husbandry occupation. Animal husbandry may be practiced as a subsidiary occupation to agriculture or as the main occupation. When this occupation is practiced along with agriculture, both can be mutually helpful to each other. For instance, animals provide manure and energy for agricultural work such as ploughing. On the other hand, grass and other fodder required for animals can be obtained through agriculture. This type of animal husbandry is practiced in Maharashtra and Gujarat in India. In some places, animal husbandry is practiced as the main occupation. In such a case, it is a commercial practice where milk products and meat are produced on a large scale. Animal husbandry as the main occupation is practiced in India, in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Jammu and Kashmir. It is also practiced in the temperate grasslands of the world, such as the pampas in South America, prairies in North America, downs in Australia, velds in South Africa. Fishing is another important primary occupation. Fishes are used as food in making fertilizers, oil, and medicines. This occupation can be of two types: freshwater or marine fishing. Marine fishing is usually done on a large scale for commercial purposes. Fishing is carried on in coastal areas and in the open sea. Large modernized boats and large fishing nets are necessary for sea fishing because the fishermen need to take their boats deep into the ocean waters to get a catch. Usually, the size of the catch collected from the deep sea is large. Maharashtra is a leading state in this type of fishing. Freshwater fishing is carried out in rivers and lakes. This type of fishing is usually done on a small scale. Fishing in freshwater can be done with the help of smaller boats. The equipment and reel for fishing need not be as sturdy as that needed for seawater fishing because the catch tends to be smaller in freshwater fishing. Even the nets used are much smaller than those used for seawater fishing. West Bengal is a leading state in this type of fishing. In areas where mineral resources are available, mining is an important primary occupation. Machines such as drillers, crushers, and cranes are used apart from labor in this occupation. In India, mining is done extensively in Goa, Jharkhand, and Karnataka. The importance of agriculture can be estimated from the fact that about 50% of the people in the world are engaged in agriculture and agriculture-related activities. But only a few places in the world are suitable for farming. Farming can be divided into two types: subsistence farming and commercial farming. In subsistence farming, the farmer and his family use primitive methods to grow crops and rear animals. The objective is to produce an amount that is just sufficient to fulfill their needs. Subsistence farming can be further divided into two types of farming: intensive subsistence farming and primitive subsistence farming. In intensive subsistence farming, a small plot of land is cultivated using a lot of labor and simple tools. An important aspect of this kind of farming is that more than one crop is grown annually on the same plot of land. This type of farming is used to produce crops such as rice, wheat, maize, pulses, and oil seeds. The other major type of farming, apart from subsistence farming, is commercial farming. Commercial farming is used to grow crops and rear livestock on a large scale. The main purpose is profit generation. Modern technology and innovative methods are used to increase productivity and profits. Commercial farming is of three types: commercial grain farming, mixed farming, and plantations. In commercial grain farming, crops like wheat and maize are grown for the commercial purpose of selling and making profits. This type of farming is practiced in the temperate grasslands of North America, Europe, and Asia, where it is possible to have large farms spreading over many acres. Mixed farming is another method of commercial farming. In this form, the farmer conducts more than one agricultural activity on the same land to increase income. The land is used to grow food crops, fodder crops, and to rear animals. This helps to save resources. Mixed farming is practiced in Southeast Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, South Africa, Eastern USA, and Europe. Plantations are also a form of commercial farming. In plantation farming, only one crop like tea, coffee, sugarcane, rubber, or cotton is grown with the help of a large amount of labor and capital. This type of agriculture is practiced in tropical regions like Brazil, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and India. Farming is thus done in many different ways across the world based on the geographical conditions of the place, the amount of labor, and the level of technology used. We grow different kinds of crops to meet the needs of mankind. Some crops are grown for human consumption. These are known as food crops. Rice, wheat, millets, and maize are all food crops. Certain crops are used for making drinks. These are called beverage crops. Tea and coffee are beverage crops. Some other crops are grown for their fibers, which are used for making various products of human need. These are known as fiber crops. Cotton and jute are fiber crops. Let's learn the conditions for the growth of important food crops such as rice, wheat, millets, and maize, and the regions of the world where they are cultivated. Rice is a food crop that requires high temperature and rainfall. Rice grows on alluvial clayey soil which can retain water. China, Japan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Egypt are the major producers of rice. Unlike rice, wheat requires only moderate temperature and rainfall. Wheat grows best in loamy soil where the water does not accumulate but drains off easily. Along with India, USA, Canada, Argentina, Russia, Ukraine, and Australia are wheat-producing countries. Millets are coarse cereal grains such as bajra, jowar, and ragi. Millets are tough crops that can grow in high to moderate temperatures even with low rainfall. These hardy crops don't even need very fertile soil. In fact, even sandy soil often suffices for these crops to grow. Millets are grown in India, Nigeria, China, and Niger. Maize is another important food crop that needs moderate temperature and rainfall to grow well. Maize needs fertile soil that is well drained and does not retain water. Maize is grown extensively in USA, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, China, Russia, and India. Let's learn about the growth conditions for beverage crops such as tea and coffee and the areas around the world where they are grown extensively. Coffee is a beverage crop that grows well in moderate and warm temperatures with moderate rainfall. Loamy soil is important for coffee to grow well. Also, the soil needs to be well drained, and for this, coffee is often grown on hill slopes. The hill slopes of Brazil, Colombia, and India are places where coffee grows well. Tea, unlike coffee, requires cool temperature and high rainfall distributed throughout the year. Tea grows best in loamy soil on gentle hill slopes that provide good drainage to water. Tea is grown extensively in Kenya, India, China, and Sri Lanka. Let's learn about the growth conditions for fiber crops such as jute and cotton and the regions of the world where they are extensively grown. Jute is a fiber crop that grows well in high temperatures and heavy rainfall. Jute also requires alluvial soil to grow well. This crop grows well in India and Bangladesh. Cotton is a fiber crop that also requires high temperature but light rainfall. Cotton grows well on black and alluvial soils. Cotton is grown extensively in China, India, Pakistan, Egypt, USA, and Brazil. Here's a map and a table showing the regions of the world where cultivation of important food, beverage, and fiber crops is done.
As the population in a country grows, the amount of food produced in that country also needs to increase. In order to increase the amount of food produced, an improvement in the methods of farming and agricultural development becomes necessary. The level of agricultural development of different countries varies depending on the economy of each country. Let's look at the agricultural development in two countries, India and USA. Farm holdings in India are usually small. This is because farmers split up their land holdings to give to their sons as inheritance. Since the holdings are small, farmers cannot invest in modern techniques of farming, which may be too expensive for them. Traditional methods of farming, such as using plows pulled by bullocks, are therefore still quite common. Although modern equipment like tractors is used for plowing, such equipment often has to be rented or taken on loan due to lack of finances. Agriculture is labor-intensive in India. Preparing fields, weeding, planting, and harvesting requires several people to be employed. For irrigation purposes, farmers in India usually use canals. Pumping water from wells and tube wells shared by a number of farmers is also common. Indian farmers sell their produce in nearby towns. Usually, storage facilities are not adequate, so the growers are often forced to sell off their produce even when the markets are not profitable. However, the government has recently taken steps to develop storage facilities. Due to various other government initiatives, high-yielding varieties of seeds are now available to Indian farmers. Various government schemes are also available to give farmers loans to buy fertilizers and farm equipment. Farmers in India usually keep cattle and livestock, such as buffaloes and hens. Their products, such as milk and eggs, are sold in the market to supplement their income. Cooperative societies advise farmers on dairy farming practices, such as type of fodder appropriate for the animals and health measures for the livestock. Farming in India is mainly for subsistence and local use. Unlike the farms in India, those in USA are much larger. An average farm may be as large as 250 hectares, unlike the 1 or 2 hectare farms in India. Agricultural development is very high in USA, and the methods of farming used are very scientific. Farming in the US is much less labor-intensive than that in India. It is heavily dependent on machinery, such as tractors, seeders, and compact harvesters. The crop to be grown is decided on the basis of available soil and water resources. Farmers also carry out soil tests to decide the fertilizers to be used. Farmers also undertake adequate pest control measures to ensure a good crop. National and local weather forecasts are also easily available to farmers here for planning a good crop yield. In the US, the produce is kept in gigantic storage facilities known as silos, or sent to warehouses of market agencies that take the produce to the rest of the country. The American government offers loans to farmers for purchasing farm equipment, just as the Indian government does. Farming in USA is a large-scale business venture. Farming in USA thus, is a large-scale commercial undertaking, while in India, it is more for subsistence and local use. Here is a list of farming practices in both India and USA to help you recap the important points.